A year ago, my life took a sudden and unexpected turn when I discovered that my fiancée had been unfaithful. The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut, especially when she coldly declared that I would never find anyone like her. Fast forward to today, and I find myself in a fulfilling relationship with a model who had secretly harbored feelings for me since high school. Recently, while browsing Reddit, I came across a post about a man whose girlfriend had cheated on him. Her shocking indifference to the situation resonated deeply with me, bringing back painful memories of my past relationship with my ex, whom I'll call Chloe. Chloe and I first met through a dating app designed for people seeking serious relationships. I was 33, and she was 30 at the time. Our connection was almost instantaneous. We had a similar sense of humor, shared common interests, and could engage in deep conversations for hours without losing steam. After several weeks of chatting online, I finally gathered the courage to ask her out. I was a mix of excited and insecure, feeling unworthy of her stunning beauty. To my surprise, she agreed, and our first date went remarkably well. We quickly became a couple. At first, everything seemed perfect, but soon I began noticing subtle, unsettling changes in her behavior. Chloe was someone who naturally attracted attention from other men, and I initially overlooked this because I trusted her completely. However, during one of our late-night conversations, the topic of hall passes came up, where partners are allowed to have a free pass with certain celebrities. She jokingly mentioned Justin Timberlake as her choice and added a disconcerting remark that lingered in my mind. I don't think there are many celebrities who would say no to me. Although said in jest, her comment planted a seed of doubt about her integrity, and I started feeling uneasy. It wasn't long before I noticed more changes in Chloe's behavior. She began coming home later than usual, often offering vague excuses for her tardiness. The once open and communicative partner turned offensive and irritable whenever I raised concerns about her disappearing acts. She explained that the late nights were due to work-related stress, but despite her reassurances, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, like she was hiding something important. Eventually, I decided to confront her about my suspicions. When I asked if everything was okay, she quickly reassured me that it was just work-related stress. Though I wanted to trust her, my instincts told me otherwise, and I felt a growing distance between us. I knew I needed to uncover the truth, which led me to consider checking her phone for any signs of infidelity. But I quickly realized that doing so would be nearly impossible without raising further suspicion. Driven by desperation and the need for clarity, I made the drastic decision to hire a private investigator. It felt surreal, but I felt cornered with no other option. The investigator agreed to track Chloe for 10 days, and I provided him with all the details about her routine, including the places she often visited. Those 10 days dragged on painfully, each night bringing more vague excuses from Chloe as she came home later and later. My suspicions of her betrayal only grew stronger. Finally, the investigator called, and the confirmation I had been dreading came through. Chloe was, indeed, seeing someone else. He sent me photographic proof of her repeatedly entering an apartment building with the same man, whom I refer to as Cody. When I saw the photos, everything came crashing down. I had suspected something, but the cold, hard evidence of her being with another man hit me like a ton of bricks. Without wasting any more time, I confronted her as soon as she came home. I laid out everything I knew, presenting her with the photos and other proof the investigator had gathered. Her response was nothing short of appalling. She laughed and downplayed the affair, as if it were nothing more than a meaningless physical connection. She even had the audacity to suggest that I should be grateful for being with her, despite her betrayal. In that moment, I was overwhelmed by a combination of rage and disbelief. How could she be so indifferent to what she had done? The betrayal cut deep, and I realized that I could no longer stay in a relationship with someone so heartless. Without hesitation, I ended things right then and there and walked away, determined to rebuild my sense of self-worth. The next day, I returned to our shared home to collect my things. Chloe, still in denial, acted like I was just throwing a tantrum. With a smug smile, she said, "I knew you'd be back," which only strengthened my resolve to leave her for good. As I moved forward, I reflected on her arrogance and began to realize my own value. Months later, I attended my 15-year high school reunion. Initially hesitant, I ended up having a surprisingly great time, reconnecting with old friends. During the event, a mutual friend mentioned that Veronica, a stunning model from high school, had always secretly had a crush on me. I was taken aback. How could someone as beautiful as her be interested in me? Intrigued, I reached out to Veronica on Instagram, and after a few days of eagerly awaiting her response, she replied with enthusiasm. We quickly fell into a rhythm of chatting, and before long, our conversations moved to FaceTime. It felt like we were rekindling something special that had been dormant for years. Eventually, I mustered up the courage to ask if we could be more than just friends. To my delight, she agreed. The next challenge was navigating a long-distance relationship. Veronica was a successful model, often traveling for work, while I stayed back home. But I was determined to make it work. Eager to be a part of her world and grow our connection, I booked a trip to Brussels, where she was working at the time. When I arrived, everything felt magical. I accompanied her to a photo shoot and saw her doing what she loves, in her element. I took photos, cheered her on, and felt a sense of pride and closeness that I hadn't experienced in a long time. During that trip, I realized just how deeply I had fallen for her. However, amid the joy of my new relationship, I made a mistake. I shared a few photos on my Instagram stories, forgetting that Chloe was still on my list of followers. Within hours, I received a mocking message from her about my new girlfriend, complete with a laughing emoji. I replied calmly, confirming that Veronica was indeed my girlfriend. Chloe's reaction, however, was less than favorable. As I reflected on my past with her and remembered the hurtful things she had said, particularly her claim that I would never find anyone like her, I realized just how far I had come. I ended the conversation with a sharp remark about how truly exceptional Veronica was and blocked Chloe for good. Looking back, I couldn't believe the transformation in my life. I had found someone kind, intelligent, and beautiful in Veronica, and I was happier than I'd ever been with Chloe. Thoughts of proposing to her started to fill my mind. I realized how lucky I was that things hadn't worked out with Chloe because, if they had, I would have never met someone as remarkable as Veronica. She makes me feel valued and cherished every day, and I now know what true love feels like.